and they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. It's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. Now, everyone up here, we've all sowed and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically, or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm gonna have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving. Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
What's going on, YouTube family? K-Soul's back here with another video, and yes, you've seen a clip at the beginning. I want to discuss the Marvin Sapp situation. You know, this whole thing, to be honest, is also the reason why I've probably left a few churches in my life. Do you know what I mean? It's a common practice, but I think we need to do a deep dive into it, because on one hand, I understand the uproar, and I do think sometimes the way these pastors ask for money and how they do it is wrong. But then I also feel that we need to have grace for it and let God be the judge, and not jump and start sending someone death threats and all of that. Do you know what I mean? Because of the social media uproar, he also responded to it and spoke about it, explained himself further. Because I would say before he released it, I'm going to show it later on in the video, but before he released his response, I was saying, when I spoke about it privately with like people I know and stuff, I was saying, like, there may be context to what he did and why he did it, right? So let's dive into that right now, and then we'll get into his response video and go from there. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, as I just stated, I've left churches for this reason. Should pastors demand money and tell you the figure you should give? So I would say this. First of all, we have to understand that churches are paid for through donations. To maintain a church, it's usually through donation. It's usually through offering, through tithe. That's how they keep the church afloat. That's how they pay the bills. That's how they maintain the church, right? And the Bible does talk about giving offering. The Bible also talks about tithe. So it's not a madness to give to church money. Anyone who thinks, oh, the pastors just take money off people or they're selling hope, no. If you are, even if you want to call it selling hope, you as a person decide to be part of this place. This place is not seen as a business. Usually churches are seen as charities, you know, and with charities, the main source of income is usually donations. So to keep this place running, that a lot of people are going to receive hope, whether it's hope, whether it's teaching, whether you're just learning the word for fellowship, whatever you're going for, this place is a place for you to receive all of that. All you may need to do is give a donation. Offering does not state a price. Offering is just what you can give. Tithe states a price, but that's based on your earnings or whatever. And that's between you and God at the end of the day. And I do believe tithes and offerings can go to anywhere. It don't necessarily have to go to a church. You can do something charitable with your money, or however you can do it. Do you know what I mean? So a long story short, I do think that people should be giving money to churches, and I do believe pastors that commit their life to preaching God's work or running the church do also deserve a salary, do also deserve some money. Do you know what I mean? But what I do think is there's a very thin line, yeah, where pastors take the piss with it, and maybe you see them and they're balling and they're stunting on people, and they're eating all the money. Now, a lot of pastors do claim that there's not much money in church, so how can they be? But the signs are always there. So I think the signs to look out for, some signs that you should look out for if you don't trust the pastor fully. First of all, always go by your own conviction. Like, listen to God's voice. Pray about it if you're not sure about a church or a pastor. But there are signs to look out for. If a pastor is always encouraging people to spend money or bring money or pay into offering or do all of this, but the church is not being maintained well, they look good, they're wearing expensive suits, but the church is not being maintained well, then that's obviously a sign that, the sound's bad, toilets are manky, it's not clean, seats are mashed up, then they're not spending money. So if they're looking drippy, they're looking flossed out, they got the designer suits, but the church is looking mad, they're probably chopping your money. Unless they have a job outside church and you know of their good job outside church. If they're a pastor and they're saying they're a pastor full time, they're looking drip down and the church is looking mad, they're chopping money, man. The second thing to look out for is, you see all these pastors that start talking about, the reason why you're going through hardships in your life is because you don't pay money into church, you don't pay offering, the reason why you're not rich is this, that. Any pastors that's saying that and has a lot of prosperity preaching with that, so they're always talking about making it, they're always talking about money, they're always talking about success, and then they'll tell you that you're not successful because you don't pay into church. Those people are just trying to chop your money, because that's not how life is. Not everyone is going to be rich. That's the truth. Not everyone can be rich. The world wouldn't look like it is now. There won't be an infrastructure, there wouldn't be capitalism if everyone was rich, or if everyone could just get rich by just giving. Giving is definitely, there's definitely something about giving. There's a science behind it, and there's also something spiritual about it. If you give, you will get it back. Give and it will be given to you. But that doesn't always mean financial gain. People need to understand that. Give, you'll be provided for. Doesn't mean if I give this £10, God might make me a millionaire. If I pay 10% of my money every month, God might make me a millionaire. It don't mean that's gonna happen. Can't happen for everyone. What Christianity is about, and I believe what walking with God, the walk with God, what it's really about, it's having a peace of mind no matter what happens to you. Because we live in an evil world. Bad things will happen. There will be poverty. There will be sickness, all of these things, But you're meant to walk with God, and you're meant to have a peace of mind because you walk with God. You're meant to believe in God that you are covered, that you are looked after, even if you face some of these stuff. If we keep going with the narrative that you are not blessed because you are not making money because, then a lot of people will end up in deep depression and with mental health issues because you're lying to them. There are some good people, that are suffering in life. There are a lot of idiots that are rich. There are a lot of great people that are poor. What does that tell you? That tells you, that it's not about how behaved you are or how much money you can how much money you give to the church. No, it's not about that. It's not about that at all. Because what about people that are just born into poverty and they can't even afford to give offering, but they are willing to work in a church? They are willing to commit their life there. But someone else is not willing to do that, but could just throw money at a church. See, it doesn't make sense when you really break it down that only that person, that's able to throw money at a church should be blessed or is blessed because of that. Because we already start off, the world is unbalanced. It started unbalanced. Yeah, maybe not before Adam and Eve. Maybe God wanted it to be balanced, but the moment sin came into the world was unbalanced, right? So I say all that to say, if a pastor is telling you it's all about his money and is telling you you're not making money because you don't invest, all he's trying to do is make money. Yeah. So back to Marvin Sapp, yeah? So before seeing his reply, and when I spoke about it, I said, I'm not going to judge straight away because there might be some context to it. Like, a lot of people brought up the fact that he held people in a service and that he held people hostage and said, shut the doors, as you heard. No one's leaving and all of this. He didn't say no one's leaving, right? He said, shut the doors. Now, my thing with that is, really, guys, he even says it. You're going to hear what he says. Guys, just watch what he says here.
People took issue with me saying, shut the doors. Understand, I never said lock the doors.
Yeah.
I said, shut the doors. Shutting doors mean that people still have the ability to go in and out.
As you heard, he said, shut the doors. He did not say lock the doors. Yeah. And before he even said it, I was thinking to myself, listen, if I'm in a church, and they start doing this money call, and he says, shut the doors. If I felt that he's trying to hold me hostage, I'll go into that rebel mode, and then I will purposely walk out. Do you think people are going to stop me? I can't even imagine a church wouldn't be a church if people will get stopped from going out. They didn't lock the doors. He also said that, another point he made is this.
As a pastor, we understand and we know that churches are being robbed at gunpoint. It's happening all over the country. This is not something I'm making up. This is factual. So if you got 5,000 people in the room, you want the doors closed. You don't want the doors locked. I couldn't get them locked anyway. It's a convention center. But the doors needed to be closed, and there was a lot of pandemonium stuff that was going on out there.
So yeah, he didn't lock the doors. People could leave. Let's be honest. Do you know what I don't like about social media? Yeah, is that people will jump on things and they will make it sound worse than it is. I'm sure a lot of people would have been able to leave, if not everyone, if they wanted to, right? Secondly, he just mentioned about the whole robberies that happen in church. To be fair, that could just be an excuse, but still, that could also be a factor because 40 grand, you could rob a church for 40 grand. I think it'll be hard to rob a big congregation for 40 grand, to be honest, and just get away. But obviously, if you've got guns, you've got a team, cost of living, people could do it. So it could be a reason. Highly doubt it, but could be a reason. So for me, apart from those things that I just mentioned, him saying that, I've seen it done many times. I've not liked it. I've left churches for it. But growing up and having more of a level-headed mind, I know what it takes to run a church. And I know that you need money and churches run off donations. So I will not criticize him heavy or jump on this bandwagon of a social media uproar. I'll leave God to judge it because God knows the truth. God knows the heart, where his heart was. He said it wasn't even his church. Yeah. Listen to this now.
And clarity to, a clip that, a whole lot of people have seen. Sadly, one of the things that has happened is, people have created a narrative that is absolutely not true. Number one, the narrative was created, excuse me, that I raised money at my church, that I kept the people at my church hostage until I raised $40,000 for me. That's the narrative that has been shared, that I locked folks up in my church, that, I made them give $40,000 and I wouldn't allow them to leave until they gave it to me. And to be honest with you, that is absolutely false.
Yeah.
Number one, that offering was taken last year. This was a service that happened last August. Number two, it didn't happen at my local church. It actually happened at a national organization's international meeting where churches from all over the country, all over the world came together for the purpose of celebrating the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. They've taken issue with my tone. And I can honestly say, looking at the video, maybe I was a little more assertive than I should have been. And I can apologize for that. I could apologize for that. But three things I need to make sure that people understood. Number one, the $40,000, if it was $40,000 that was raised, was never given to me. That money was raised for the purpose of taking care of the budget for their conference, not Marvin Sapp. Number two, it didn't happen at my church. It happened in Baltimore.
So yeah, he claims it wasn't even his church, as he just said. He claims it was a conference and he was trying to raise money for the budget. I've been to a church and this has happened, and this also put me off. They fly in a guest pastor. Then they want to raise the money in the church to pay the guest pastor. I understand paying expenses and I like transparency. So if a pastor say, listen, we got this guest pastor to come over, I would prefer them to actually say, we got this guest pastor that's interested in coming to preach to us. Show us his credentials, tell us about him, and then say, if you would like him to come to the church, help us raise this amount of money. This is what it's going to cost him. This is the expense. If you're really a man of God, I understand you need to live or whatever. But at the end of the day, you should, as long as your flight and all of that is paid for, you should feel comfortable to come and preach. If they're setting numbers and saying, and they're getting paid like entertainers, I don't know if they are, so I'm just speculating by what the pastor said. If they're getting paid like acts, like a music act or whatever, I don't believe in that, and I think that's wrong, because you're meant to save people. You're not meant to be worshipped. Do you know what I mean? So you should want to do it mostly for free, but I do believe expenses should be paid for, and I do believe pastors deserve to earn a living, especially when they've made a church. But I just feel that it shouldn't be so extravagant unless naturally your donations give you that lifestyle, but after you've put the church first and you've made it in a way that, your money, the money that the church has raised, or the money that people are investing, can be seen. Do you know what I'm saying? And not just on you as a pastor. They can see it around them. They can see it in the church. Their experience at the church is much better. There are churches that do that, and I respect it. But as for us as people, it's not really for us to judge, because we don't know the ins and outs of what it takes to run the church, unless you do, of course. But a lot of people on social media, there's even people that have been let down by the church that are just jumping on this wagon because they don't like the church. There are people that are atheists or don't believe in Christianity and are using this to tear down the whole religion. They don't know the ins and outs. They're just using it to tear down the religion. And that's why I won't jump on that bandwagon. I will say it looks mad. The timing, how he dropped it was wrong. Yeah, asking for certain money and then telling them to shut the doors. The timing doesn't align with someone that is doing this out of goodwill. But again, anyone can, and if you go on social media, even with me, you could chop a clip from something, not get the context and judge it. So I'm not jumping on that bandwagon. I'll let God be the judge. But yes, what I will say, I think it's good to call out pastors that are stealing money. I'm not saying he's one, but if it's obvious and they're doing it, in fact, we don't need to call it out. Let God deal with it. That's all I'll say. And obviously go by your own conviction and intuition. If you feel something's iffy here or fishy, you don't need to invest in that church. You don't need to pull out your purse. Don't be coerced into doing it. You do it out of the goodness of your heart and for God. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.